Alright, yo, what's up, guys? I'm back with another But If, this is what if Deku never got one for all part 5, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it turns out I already had this planned out, so I might as well just do the story. Um, Shoot, where do we leave off? Yeah, okay, so in the last part, to like, refresh your guys' memory, there was the Stain part where, Deku literally killed Stain and it got spread around the news and all that. So everyone knows that Deku's a really huge threat now because he killed the hero killer. And then on top of that, Inko is gone. Inko left. Like Deku told her to dip. So All Might's there, like, okay, shoot, I feel even more like sad about this. And then the Bakugo, who's trained, like he's being trained even harder by All Might. So yeah, I guess we just get into it. I don't know, but anyway, okay. So UA goes on their next break, as normal. Everyone took the exams, and Aizawa told them that they're going to the training camp, so they make sure to be prepared. Also, I think Hagakure, Invisigirl, she told Deku that they're going to the training camp. So yeah, class ends, and as Bakio is packing up, Kirishima and Kaminari, they both walk up because they're his boys, and asked if he wants to go to the mall with them. So the others overheard that and asked if they could go too, and they both said yeah, and Bakio like hesitated a bit. Like Kirishima said, like, look, okay, you've been looking like a homeless person getting beaten up every day. Let's get you fixed up, and let's go hang out. So, Bakio has been training nonstop ever since All Might took the training more intense, also. And I forgot how long of a time gap the Stain bit and the Maul bit take place, so I'm gonna just assume it could be a few days. Let's stick with a week. Let's go with a week, okay? Or maybe it could be a few days. I don't know. I haven't watched that in a while. But Bakio got angry and yelled like, "You want to say that again?" Like, creating mini explosions. And Kaminori jumped in, like, to help out Kirishima and told Bakio like, "Stop, all right? Just go with us. I'm pretty sure you need it right now." So Bakio sighs angrily and says, "Fine, I'll go to your stupid play date." And everyone left the school and went home to like change, then headed to the mall to meet up. And they all made it, and Ashido somehow made people get into groups without them even noticing, so that's something. And the groups, they split off, but one person was left behind, which was Uraraka. And she says to herself, did she forget I was here? Like, dang, but I did plan on coming here anyways, I guess. So, she tries to make it not as depressing. And she began walking to get some bug spray and like thought to get some other stuff while she's at it. And until someone walked beside her with like, a hood over his head, and her instincts were telling her to get away fast and seen like a glimpse of their face. Like, her gunhead martial arts instincts, like they kicked in right as soon as like, he approached. So they have a mask, green hair, and red eyes. So she froze and she thought to herself, "There's no way that's him, right?" So the guy stopped, like now in front of her, and he says, "I remember you. You were the girl I met at the station getting gifts for your mom's birthday, right?" And she said, like trembling a bit now, "Why are you here?" So that's something that I'm gonna get back to. But anyway, so Kirishima and Kaminari, like, they laugh while Bakio continues to walk with them. And then Kirishima tells Bakio to, like, loosen up already. And Bakio tells them to shut up. And, like, where are they going? So they both try and think and then agree on food. Because why not? Like, food's basically the best thing. um, I'm not gonna make that joke because I will regret it. So, they all walk to a fast food nearby and, they just begin eating. So Kaminari asks Bakio why has he been like, training so much recently? And Bakio responds like, so I make sure I'm always better than you. You knock off Pikachu. Like, bro, I feel like it's so easy to make fun of Kaminari just because he's an idiot. Bro, he turns into an idiot when he uses his quirk. He's more useless than that laser dude. Like, I don't know. His quirk could be so good, but anyway, I'm gonna get a drink. Hold up. I don't have water. Hold on. Yeah, I'm starting to get tired of the taste of water, so I'm drinking green tea instead, which is the best tea out of all of them. Sweet tea comes second, but green tea comes first. If you never had it, you should try it. It's pretty good. But where was I at? Well, I don't know. I just pressed record and it came to this. But anyway, yeah, Kirishima says like, all right, we'll leave that bit alone, but at least clean yourself up afterwards. You stink up the entire classroom. And Bakio yells at him, saying, "That's not me, Rockhead. I clean myself more than you." And Kaminari says like he does have a point, and starts laughing. And Kirishima laughs as well, with Bakio just like, he gives a small smirk. He's kind of enjoying himself. But yeah, now back to the real stuff. Deku responds like, "Wait, I can't be." And Uraraka says, "Why did you attack Hosu City?" So Deku takes off his mask and hood and tells her to walk with him. She obviously well, I just ruined the mood. She obviously says no, but Deku tells her that he wants to explain himself. So she nods, and Deku asks where is she heading. So she points ahead of them, and they start walking. And Deku says, to answer your question, I did that to Host the City because first, I can, and secondly, so I could get rid of that stain guy. And then Uraka says, like, what is your goal? You attacked UA, killed your leaders so you could take over, then you attacked an entire city causing news outlets to cover it and killed a killer. So Deku responded saying, wow, you've been keeping up, but I don't think I want to spoil my plans. Just know you'll find out soon. She stops again and says, like, is this a joke to you? And Deku stops as well and says, no, it's actually more than that. So she says, like, what is it then? And Deku looks around and sees like a bench. She asks her if she wants to sit down, and I'll just say she nods because I don't want to make it hard. But yeah, so they sit down, and Deku tells her it's for revenge. And Uraka asks on who, and Deku says All Might. So she gets angrier and says like, what did the symbol of peace do to make you want revenge? So Deku tells her to calm down and sighs, telling her to look into his eyes. And she doesn't realize that the Sharingans are active, and like she sees all of Deku's memories. And it finishes with Deku asking, what are her thoughts? Like, what are your thoughts?" And she sits there like thinking about what she's seen, and she clenches her fist, holding back tears, and says like, "I'm sorry," while looking down. And shoot, right now I don't know, because most likely you guys are still connected to the heroes, aren't you guys? Now you guys know. You guys know. It's all right. Yeah. But anyway, he smiles and says, "I knew you'd be kind." Then Uraka asks, like, "What would you do if you get your revenge?" So he responds saying, "I don't know, to be honest." And then he gets up and says, "All right, I'll let you be. It's probably strange to have a conversation with the enemy, but I think if we were on the same team, we would have gotten along perfectly." So she stops him by saying, "Is that a reason? Is that the reason why Bakugo is training so much, just so he can stop you?" And Deku looks at her and says, "Yeah, there's actually a lot you don't know about him." And he turns his head back to her slightly and says, "Tell him that I'm sorry for what happens next." And those words immediately haunt her thoughts. Like, to everyone else it looks normal, but what she sees right now is exactly the picture. And she blinks, and when she opens her eyes again, Deku is gone. So yeah, that just happened. And the next day, everyone meets up at the bus, and Uraka has like a paranoid expression on her. So Aizawa tells them all to get on the bus, and Uraka quickly like looks around for Bakugo, and she sees him and sits next to him without saying a word. So Bakugo gets confused and says like, "What do you want?" And then he sees her like looking at the ground with like thoughts going all over her head. Like he could physically like, or no, not he can. At this point, he can literally see the thoughts like going around her head. So yeah, he asked her again, like, "Hey, like, what do you want?" And Uraka replies, "Izuku wanted me to tell you something." So Bakugo gets angry and tells her to say it already. And Uraka gets frightened even more. But, Bakugo takes a deep breath, trying to calm down, and asks, like, "Can you please tell me what he said?" And Uraka looks at him and says, "He told me that he apologizes for what happens next." So Bakugo says, "Is that all? And what else did he say?" So she continues saying, like, "That's all he said. But he also showed me why he's doing this. It's all for revenge against All Might. And I know that's the reason why you're training so much, so you can beat him, right?" Bakugo grunts his teeth and says, "Yeah, that's the reason. And I'm gonna make sure that idiot doesn't finish his plan." So Uraka gets up and says, "I also know that growing up you would always bully Deku for not having. I mean, no, shoot. You. I'm so used to saying Deku. Oh, hello. What do you want?
Where's the pizza at?
Pizza?
Like, from yesterday?
It's in the refrigerator.
I know, but like, I can't find
It's in aluminum foil, probably. Jerk. Alright, yeah, okay. I found it. So Uraka gets up and says, "I also know that growing up you would always bully Izuku for not having a quirk and nearly driving him to suicide." So Baki opens his mouth to speak but stops and puts his hand on his face. So Uraka gets up and walks away saying, "That's what I thought you would do." So, ooh, like, okay, so Baki already knows, like, okay, something's gonna happen. And Uraka is kind of like neutral now. She like doesn't know how to feel. Like it must be hard to like when that if that ever happens. Like you wouldn't know what to do because now you see both sides of the story. Well, not fully because she doesn't know about All Might and Bakugo, but basically, like you see the enemy story, so it's like, oh shoot, I'm going against this. But yeah. So Deku stands behind the bar and tells everyone to listen up. He begins saying, "Alright, so tomorrow is when the plan takes place, so do you remember what to do?" And they all nod, and Dabi asks, like, one thing. Yeah, so one thing I noticed, though, where are you in all this? So Twice speaks up and says, "Yeah, like, why aren't you in the plan?" And Deku responds saying, "I will not go along because I have a meeting to attend to." So Mr. Compress asks, like, what type of meeting? And Deku just says, "It's a secret." So Toga asks him, like, "What the heck, man? You can't do that. It'll just make us want to know more." And Deku says, like, "Listen, you'll find out soon enough, alright?" So Dabi laughs and asks, like, "How many steps and connections do you have behind the scenes?" So Deku tells him that's also a secret, but make sure the plan goes smoothly while I'm away. So, they all nod, and Deku steps through a portal. And before he fully walks through, he stops and says, "Try not to kill Uraraka, the gravity one. She seems nice." So after he walks through, like fully, Toga gets mad and yells, "Where's Uraraka?" So Dobby laughs, saying like, "Your face is red." But anyway, yeah. So everyone makes it out of the forest, panting. Which, if you don't know, this is back to the heroes. And Kirishima limps to Bakio and says like, "Why did you leave us all behind?" And Bakio drinks his water and says, "It's not my fault you're all as fast as a snail. I can't speak." But, later Aizawa begins their training, and Bakio takes the opportunity, instantly goes out. Like, he goes all out. So the rest of the class see how hard Bakio is training, and it motivates them even more. Um, Uraka does get training, but, keeps getting told to, like, focus by the teacher. And Hagakure, or Invisigirl, I'm gonna just stick with Hagakure because that's what I've always done, sees her not focused and walks over to see what's up. So she asks her, like, what's wrong, and Uraka shakes her head, like, and says, it's nothing. Oof. But Hagakure, she could tell she's lying right away, but pretends like it's nothing, though she does expect it has to deal with it, like Izuku. So, should I stick with Izuku or Deku? No, I'm gonna stick with Deku just because it makes more sense, I guess. Deku steps out of the portal and fixes his shirt. Like, a man comes out of the shadows, like every villain in the world does, and asks, "Are you Izuku?" And Deku says, like, out loud, like, "Yes." And the man introduces himself. He reaches out his hand and says, "Nice to see the star in the flesh. My name is Overhaul, or Chisaki." So Deku looks at his hand and says, "I don't do handshakes, but I do like business." So Overhaul puts down his hand and orders two men to bring out a case. And he gestures for Deku to open it, which he does, and finds like a red bullet. And Deku asks like, "So are these the quirk erasing bullets?" And Overhaul answers, "Yes." And I'll switch up the story again. So he's gone for almost a year. Bakio thinks in his head while punching a tree, and then shows back up out of nowhere, as he punches the tree again, and becomes even stronger than me and taunting me, and again, and is now annoying me by threatening All Might, finally exploding the tree. So Bakio falls on his back, breathing heavily, and Azawa walks up and tells him to get up and go to sleep. The others can't sleep with your whining. So Bakio gets up and just walks away. Aizawa knows that something's up just because Bakio didn't say anything back. But he can't be asked to deal with it. So the next day, Deku wakes up in a cage with four guards watching him, and he yawns and asks, like, "Where's Chisaki?" So the guards don't speak, and Deku says, like, if they can at least get him a drink. So 30 minutes pass, and Overhaul walks towards Deku's cage. And Deku says, like, "What's up, Chisaki?" And Chisaki tells him, like, "Shut up, you could have had a great deal on your hands." But Deku replies saying, "It's not my fault, I want to know how you got the bullets." But, Overhaul shakes his head and leaves the room saying, "I can't be asked right now." Deku smirks, and a few moments later, he walks out of the room laughing. So he says to himself, "Alright, so I need to find a little girl." And he starts walking around and looking in each room. A few times Deku ran into like some goons and used his Sharingan on them before they could do anything. Which is also like how he got out of the cage, which was too easy. And he also used the Sharingan to steal info on the kid. So the more he learns about Eri, the more angry he gets. He's like, "Okay, now I actually do have to find her. I'm not about I'm not about to let this little girl get tortured anymore." So it takes a while, but Deku finally finds a room decorated in pink and toys everywhere. And he says to himself again, like, "Why would you think someone wants bright colors when they're getting destroyed every day?" So Dobby, Twice, Toga, and Mr. Compress, they get ready and wait until night. And Compress breaks their silence and says, I'm pretty sure a meeting doesn't take it an entire night to do. Or I guess 2 nights, because it is basically technically night time. But Twice says like, no, I'm sorry. Twice says he completely agrees with it, but instantly like says he doesn't care afterwards because he has them two personalities. And Dobby tells them all like, don't question it. For some reason, he is the only one I can never see through. It's like he's multiple steps of everyone. Toga says, yeah, I can see that, but I want him to be back already. So boring here without him. Also, something I should mention, I'm not adding the other villains for two reasons. First, I can't remember them. And, I'm pretty sure one of them is a crocodile or alligator. What are the difference between those two? No, I'm not gonna bring that in. And for, second, I'm pretty sure they don't matter anyway, so yeah, they're kind of just there. But yeah, Aizawa gets everyone to go outside and tells them they'll be training again all day. So all of them groan and complain except for Bakio, who just wants him to finish up already. And he says to himself, come on, I have to get stronger before the next attack happens. Then it clicks in Bakio's head like, hold on. If an attack happens during camp, like now, it's probably guaranteeing someone is a traitor. So, great. Now I gotta look after that too, if it happens. So Aizawa finishes and the class begins training again. And oh no, I guess it wasn't night because it's morning. Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot. Um okay, it's actually getting really annoying how I keep on switching between the things. So I'm gonna just stick with Deku's. Um yeah, so Deku opens the door and turns on the lights and he sees an outline of a kid underneath the blanket. And Deku walks over and lifts up the blanket. She freaks out and Deku can only see the pain in her eyes. It reminded him of the first time he met All for One. And Ares says, who are you and why are you here? Deku puts on a grin and tells her, don't worry, everything will be fine. I'm gonna get you out of here, okay? And he says it in a kind way. Not in the joking way and the like evil way that he always does. This is before everything happened. This is his kind voice. So, she gets up quickly, and quickly says, no, if I leave, more people will die. And Deku drops the grin and kneels down and hugs her. He says, I told you, don't worry about a thing. And then he backs off and continues saying, hey, after we leave, I'll get you a candy apple, okay? And Eri tries to speak again, but Deku already gets up and tells her to follow him. So Deku holds her hand and tells her to stay by him at all costs, but also don't look at what's about to happen. So she nods, and Deku begins a massacre with just his eyes, killing everyone. Like at first he was like, okay, like before he knew about Eri, he's like, okay, I'll just knock him out. But now that he knows about Eri, he's killing everyone. He does not want the Yakuza to show up anymore. So yeah, the goons left and right just fall down with just like a glare. And the word about Izuku escaping finally gets spread, and Overhaul takes no risk. Like he fuses with the one dude from the show and starts like looking for Deku, like as the big monster. So both Deku and Eri like are close to the exit but feel the ground like rumbling. So Deku picks up Eri and sprints to the exit, but he makes it out in time before like the place caves in and a giant creature emerges from it. And Eri, why did I say that wrong? Eri places her face in like Deku's chest, and he looks up to see Overhaul. And he yells at Deku to give her back, charging at him. But he does land the attack, and looks to see like he crushed Deku, but Eri is still fine. Deku threw her like before the hit landed. So Deku had blood all over him, and looks like he was dead. So Chisaki just laughed while beating Deku more and saying, "Is this really the same guy that killed the hero killer?" And the same time, Deku is like crying where Deku like threw her at. And then the sky went completely red, like blood red, and everything started to turn black. And he looked to see Eri grinning and fading away into crows. So he said out loud, like, "What's going on?" Then he was forcefully detached from his from the creature like form. So he got chopped in half. He doesn't have any legs. And the and chains gripped onto his arm, pulling him to the ground. So he was screaming in agony while being pulled forward and like onto a decapitation thing. I forgot what it's called, but it's like one of those tall wooden things with like the sharp edge, and it just falls down onto the head. I'm sorry, but oh shoot, my throat still burns from all the things I had yesterday. Okay, shouldn't bring that up, but anyway, um, yeah. So he, you know, overhaul. He's being pulled down on one of those, and then Deku stood up in front of him, and he leaned down, and he whispered to him, "Good night, and make sure to rot in hell." So the blade comes down, and Deku is like standing there holding Chisaki's head and Stain's sword in the other hand. So they're back in the real world. But he throws the head into the caved building and tells Eri to keep looking away. Like, while also putting away his sword. And, Portal opens up in front of them, and Deku tells her to walk through. And she does, and Deku follows, and it closes. And they enter into the bar, and Deku sets like a case full of bullets on the counter, which is it's a big case. Like he got the entire supply, and which also means like there's basically no more Yakuza. Like he killed even the dude inside like the hospital bed, like the actual leader. He also killed him. Even though, do I really kill him? He was actually a nice guy. Mm, yeah, it's Deku. He don't care. So anyway, um, yeah, so he puts it onto the bar, and Kirigiri sees Eri and asks like Deku, "Why is she here?" So Deku tells him, "I wasn't planning on bringing someone back, but she's gonna stay here from now on, right?" And Kirigiri nods, and Deku looks at the time, smirking, and tells Eri he'll be right back. So Eri gets scared, but Deku pats her on the head and activates his Sharingan. And she says out loud, like, "Why don't I feel sad?" with a tear coming down her cheek. And Deku wipes away the tear and tells her, "I already told you, you will never be hurt again," and hands her a candy apple. So she eats it and smiles, and Deku smiles back and says again that he'll be right back. And yeah, alright, so it turns night. By the way, I think this is almost done, so yeah. It turns night, and the Blood Gang quirk teacher. Oh shoot, my head went blank for a second. Yeah, the Blood Gang. Apparently, he's part of the Blood. All right, but yeah, he tells both class 1A and 1B that they're doing a forest scare. So both him and Aizawa explain it, and they start going. And while that's happening, the same time, like the villains are standing on a mountain, like looking at the classes from afar. So Dabi tells them all that like to go, and they all rush in. So portals start opening around them and snatching the students, like causing them to be separated. And I'm saying because Baku and Todoroki, they were also inside like the forest thing, like the forest scare thing, and they hear the commotion and start like rushing to where it like was. And Dabi and Twice they move in to observe the chaos taking place, and Toga does her thing. Well, like getting blood and all that. And so does Mr. Compress. Mr. Compress, I forgot what he does, but he does his thing. It's basically canon, but with like only the main villains. And Aizawa like dodges the portal and instantly sprints to the other students at the building. So the muscular thing doesn't happen or it doesn't take place mainly because I'm pretty sure Bahia wouldn't care enough to interact with like Coda. I'm just being straight up. And muscular isn't even there to begin with, so yeah, just screw Coda. uh, I'm pretty sure I also forgot about him in general. I don't know why, but I just did. So Bakugo and Todoroki, like they make it out the forest and see the chaos like caused by only four people, I think, and a bunch of Nomus. Like a lot of them, mainly all of it's Nomus. So Bakugo explodes himself to the Nomus, doing the Howitzer impact because he knows about the previous Nomus. He had like two other interactions. The one with the USJ and Hostu City. So he ain't taking no precautions, and he takes out five of them at once. Or no, no, not five. He just takes out a huge crowd of them. And Todoroki freezes the rest and tells Bakugo to find the others. Like just saying right now the ice isn't gonna work. So, but when he looks over to Bakugo, he sees him holding his arm, trying to like hide the pain that the drawback. And Bakugo lets go of his arm and launches himself away to find the others. And the first thing he sees is Dark Shadow, getting out of hand with what's his name? Starts with an S. Shuji, Shushai, I forgot his name, but um, I think running away from it, and he blasts himself to him and does like a flash grenade. I don't know what he calls the attack, but yeah, it's the flash grenade. And Dark Shadow like instantly goes away, and Tokiyami falls over saying things, but Bakugo helps him back up, and Shoji, I think that's his name. He also says thanks, and Bakugo trembles a bit, but he tells them to follow him, and they run into Uraka and Froppy, like fighting Toga. And shoot, Aizawa. Yeah, Aizawa he makes it to the other students and tells them that there's an attack happening right now. So they all get up, but Aizawa tells them, "Nah, you guys ain't fighting. I'm only here so you guys don't end up dying." And they all take offense to that, and they say like the same thing that happened as canon. Basically, that whole situation's like canon. I can't really be bothered with it. Plus, I don't remember it. So yeah, that happens. I'm the best like what if speaker ever. But yeah, the Nomus are taking over the students, and Twice says like, "Are they almost done?" And Dobby looks and says like, "Almost, just a few more seconds. We're still waiting for the boss." And by the way, Deku did tell them that he's gonna end up coming, and they have a different plan set in mind. So yeah, just change the plans last second. So a portal opens up in the middle of the area, like the big area with like the pussycats and the other students. Yeah, everyone gets confused. So the Nomu stop fighting and walk behind the portal. And a very special someone, he walks out, and the portal closes behind him with the green haired killer taking off his mask. And he takes a deep breath and smirks. And he looks over in Dobby and Twice's direction and signals them to come down to him. So they both show up next to him, and Deku says out loud, "All right, someone something popped up, and I've killed enough for today. So if you can all just look the other way, that'll be nice." And as soon as he said that, though, a wave of fire and ice they rush to Deku. So the attack finishes, and Deku is standing like behind Todoroki with his Sharingan's active, and he whispers in his ear, "What did I just say?" And Deku starts to pull out his sword, but gets hit by an explosion. I wonder how many people would rewind that bit. Yeah, man, if you did, I want to know. But anyway, it's kind of weird, but yeah. So Toga runs up behind Toga. I mean, Twice and Dobby saying she got what she came for, but was outnumbered. And all the other students and heroes, they were still worn out from the Nomus, so they just they can only watch as like Deku gets back up and grabs his sword again. So Bakio yells at Deku like, "Why are you here?" And Deku wipes off his face and says like, "I wasn't going to be here, but I had some time left over." Then Bakio asks again like, "Why are you here?" And Deku looks at Bakio and smirks, saying, "I came to get something." So Mr. Compressed goes up to Deku and hands him a gumball. So he holds it up, like looking through it, and they both see like Uraraka in the gumball. So he looks over at where she was and seen her missing, and Bakio yelled out again, "Why do you want her?" And Deku tells her, "Shh, it's a secret." And Bakio gets angry and rushes into Deku like to attack him with 15% full cal. And Deku stands still like with Bakio gets Deku, yeah, he just stands still. And, Bakugo gets hit with a giant blue wave of fire. Which, keep in mind, like, he's already damaged. Like, Bakugo is, like, worn out. So the other students try and rush in to help, but Deku just snaps his fingers and orders the Nomus to attack again. So Dabi stops his fire, and Deku walks up to Bakugo, who is completely drained of energy. Like, he can't do a thing. And he kneels over and says, "Sorry, Kachan, but I can't fight you yet. I still need you alive. Or at least, yeah, I need one for all." So Bakugo's eyes widen, and Deku chuckles, saying, "Did you really think I was keeping you alive for another reason?" So Deku gets up and tells the others to go through the portal. Like, portal just opened up. And they do, and the Nomus also get into their own portals, with Deku, like, walking through last. So the portals close and Bakio tries to get back up, but he can't. Even with like 15% full cal, like he's struggling. Like he can barely lift up, but nah, he's drained. He can't. So actually no, not 15. I'm pretty sure he's too worn out to use 15 now. He's probably using like 5%. But yeah, Deku just walks through and the portals close. So Azawa and the others, like, they show up and see everyone either passed out or on the brink of passing out, including the Pussycats. So shoot, I think I'm starting to like forget things. So I think I'm gonna just leave it off here. I could keep on going, but I think now is a good place to stop because next part, oof, next part, I'm gonna make sure that boy is good. Okay, I don't know when it's gonna come out, but I swear that part will be amazing. I feel like this is gonna be the only series that I would be okay with going into the manga, like going past the anime, because the amount of ideas that I have for this specific story is like shoot. But yeah. So by the way, if you're wondering why Bakio looked very weak at the end, it's because he was already extremely worn out from all the training he put himself through the past 2 days and all the stress. Like he's overwhelmed with stress right now. So if you remember from the anime, quirks are like muscles. Like they can go out just like any other day if you use them too much. But yeah, remember to laugh once in a while and have a good one. Peace.